I finally agreed to go with him to this Messianic congregation. At the end of the evening, they began to dim the lights and play the piano and pray. I figured I needed all the help I could get, so I was happy to pray. They said, if you prayed this prayer for the first time, raise your hand. So I raised my hand. They said, if you raise your hand, will you please stand up? You've just been born again. Well, I had no idea what this meant, but I knew this is not something a good Jewish boy should do. And I gave my mother enough trouble when I was born once. God only knows what would occur the second time. I thought it was okay because they promised me no one's looking, the lights are dimmed, every head is bowed. So I was like, okay, no one saw, I'm safe. This guy from Brooklyn said, I saw you raise your hand. If you can't stand here for the Messiah, you won't be able to stand for him in the world. So we weren't going anywhere until I stood up. So I stood up. And I met with one of the leaders, and they gave me the first Brit Chadashah, the first New Testament I'd ever seen. I took it home. I hid it. God forbid my parents should ever find it or find out about it. And I read the Gospels for the first time, the Bisserot, and what amazed me was that what Yeshua had said to me was actually a verse in Matthew. And I had never read it before. And I realized that he was the one of whom Moses and the prophets spoke of. Of course, I should have learned an important lesson, and that is that you can't hide anything from your mothers. That's for sure. They had that special spiritual gifting. So she found the Bible and she confronted me. What is this? Don't tell me you become one of those Jews who believe in Jesus. Don't tell me you did this and you're breaking my heart. I always knew you'd do something like this one day. A little Jewish guilt, right? You can imagine she was even more upset when I told her I was leaving college and I wasn't going to become a doctor of natural medicine or Oriental medicine, and I was going to go become a Messianic rabbi. My son the doctor, my son the lawyer, my son the Messianic rabbi. You know, not so much. That's a good way of putting it. But as they saw that my faith in Yeshua didn't make me less Jewish, but actually made me more committed to the Torah, more committed to Israel, more committed to my people, they became very open and supportive to what it is that God had called me to do. So went to school, got married, planted a Messianic synagogue in Raleigh, North Carolina, have done a number of different things, and now I'm out here in California. But friends, I got to tell you something. What God did in my life was a complete transformation. It was a new creation. And literally, within a week's time, I was literally a different Jason. And the entire course of my direction of my life, both inside and out, had been altered amazingly. And what I want to say to you is that each one of you who have come to know Yeshua as Melech Yisrael, as the King of Israel, God has also made you a new creation. That the old has passed and the new has come and is continue coming. A rabbi asked, what's the worst sin in the world? And the Rabbi said, the Rebbe said, the worst sin in the world is to forget that you're a child of the King. The second is to know you're a child of the King and not to live like one. Are you living in the new or are you living in the old? Are you living in Egypt or have you entered into the promised land? And friends, I believe we are living in the days that righteous men and women have longed to see. We're on the verge of something so incredible that God is doing in this world, a restoration and regathering of the people of Israel in the natural. More Jews in Israel than anywhere else in the world at this time. More Jews there. That's the first time since maybe the Babylonian captivity. That's Ezekiel 37. God regathering the people, getting ready to breathe new life into them. We're standing in the days where prophetic words of the prophets are coming to pass before our eyes. We are seeing signs and wonders touching people here throughout the world. And guess what? God wants you to be a part of it. Because He's called you from water into wine. But here's the thing. If you don't know you're a child of the King and walk in that mantle, you will not be able to fulfill your destiny. Your identity is the key to your destiny. If you don't know who you are, you'll never be able to do what God has called you, prepared you, and destined you to be able to do. Identity and destiny go hand in hand. And there's all sorts of people who want to define you. There's all sorts of things that are vying to determine who you are. There's all sorts of people that have come into your life that have told you you're nothing. There's all sorts of people like Joseph's brothers who've laughed at the dreams and the visions that God has given to you and told you you can't fulfill it. You're not smart enough. You're not good enough. You're not brave enough. And they've spoken these curses over your life. And they've been robbing you of your destiny. When you are a new creation in Messiah. And when you believe the lies, you empower the liar. When you believe the lies, you empower the liar. And you need to know you are new wine. You are a new creation in Him. You are a son and daughter of a king. You are princes and princesses. You are royalty. And no matter what people say about you, you're not successful enough, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough accomplishments. Who are you going to let define you? The Lord spoke to me recently. He said, Jason, who do you say that I am? I said, you are the Messiah. You are the Son of God. He said, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm not asking you who I am. I'm asking you if you believe I am who I say you are. Who do you say that I am? That's the question God wants us to ask of Him. Like Yeshua asked of His disciples, who do you say that I am? God is asking us to ask of Him, Lord, who are we? And we are who He says we are. That's right. Not who what anyone else says we are. I got some good news for you. You're not even who you say you are. Because sometimes I don't feel like I'm very much. But do we allow Him to define us? Do we walk in that new identity and that calling that God has for us? Like Jacob, who wrestled with God for the blessing, and his name was changed from Yaakov, deceiver, supplanter, to Israel, Yisrael, the one who overcomes, who wrestles with God. You're an overcomer. You can wrestle with God for the blessing and you'll receive it. That which He calls blessed is blessed.